Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's live session on daily current affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Sathya from IQ Ideas, bringing you important news, updates, and current affairs from a daily newspaper. Great articles that you can read for improving your reading comprehension abilities, and of course, important words of vocabulary for improving overall English. Today is the 26th of July 2025, and without further ado, let's jump into today's news headlines. So, as I open the newspaper, the first thing which comes in front of me is an update from the AI 171 Boeing crash in Ahmedabad, where the US regulator says quite sure no issue with AI 171 fuel switch. So, US regulator says no issue with AI 171 fuel switch. Now, this tragedy has been in the news for quite some time. Let's see what it says. Suggesting the fuel control switches on the doomed AI 171 were manually moved, the new head of the US Federal Aviation Administration has said the crash was unlikely to have been caused by a mechanical issue with the plane or inadvertent movement of the aircraft fuel control switches. We can say with a high level of confidence, it doesn't appear to be a mechanical issue with the Boeing fuel control unit. We feel very comfortable that there isn't an issue with inadvertent manipulation of fuel control. Agencies quoted FAA Administrator Brian Bedford as saying. So this is quite a disturbing piece of information, and of course, the exact cause for that crash is still unknown. But we come across a very interesting word, inadvertent. So the word inadvertent literally means unintentionally. So it was not done by mistake, is what the US regulator says. Okay, so let's see how where this goes. A small piece of news besides that is an announcement by the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India. The RBI governor is quoted as saying, no banking license for corporates. Now, what does that mean? There is no proposal to allow corporates either directly or through NBFCs. So, NBFCs, non banking financial companies, to obtain banking licenses, the RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra said on Friday, citing an inherent conflict of interest with a group actually dealing with the money of the depositors. Okay, so from here, what we can just keep in mind as a piece of information is who is the RBI Governor. So Sanjay Malhotra is the RBI Governor, and of course, he has said that corporates will not be getting banking licenses. Great. Now, Prime Minister Modi has been on a trip to various countries, Maldives being one of them. And the headline here says rupees 4,850 crore credit line for Maldives and talks on free trade pact. So, rupees 4,850 crore credit line for Maldives and talks of free trade pact. Now, this free trade pact was in a major news yesterday, considering the deal which has been struck between India and the United Kingdom. Right, CETA, CETA was in news yesterday, a free trade agreement. So now there's a news of a potential upcoming free trade pact between India and Maldives. And Maldives was in the news a few months back, considering there was some tension in the relations, especially because of politics. Now it says the turnaround in India Maldives ties in the past 10 months following the acrimonious removal of Indian military personnel from strategically located country seemed complete as India announced a fresh $565 million line of credit for the Indian Ocean neighbor and signed an agreement to reduce its annual debt repayment burden by 40%. Now, an interesting word which has been there in this news is the word acrimonious. So, when something is contentious, when the relations between two countries is bad, right, the word acrimonious is used to describe something as being bad. So now the Indian military personnel were removed from Maldives, and following that, now 10 months after that particular news, India and Maldives seem all set to have a free trade agreement. That's interesting. Okay. Now, other than that, no major news so far. So we move on to the city page, which seems to have a lot of information regarding a recent hit and run case where an SUV driver has mown down two in Gandhinagar. A lot of news of hit and run drivers, many of them being inebriated or drunk, has been hitting the news, and it seems to be a very serious thing, especially in a state like Gujarat, which has prohibition on liquor. The next city page does not seem to have much information. So quickly moving on, we go to the state page, where there is just one big headline which seems of relevance. It says scrapped batteries could power India's lithium boom. So Gujarat is set to give the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission a significant push in lithium, white gold indispensable for powering gadgets and e-vehicles, while also extracting the metal without polluting the environment. So this would be very, very interesting to read for people interested in environment, in technology. So scrapped batteries could power India's lithium boom. Okay. Scientists at Bhavnagar-based Central Salt and Marine Chemicals Research Institute developed a clean, fast, and selective method to extract lithium from disposed batteries. This discovery could significantly reduce India's import bills as the country imports 100% of its lithium requirements. Now, obviously, with electric vehicles and batteries being an essential item in this current world where the hunt is always for good energy, clean energy, the discovery of how to extract lithium from used batteries could be a major breakthrough. So let's see where this takes us. Moving on to the nation page, we don't have anything which seems to be relevant, so we quickly move ahead and we come to yet another nation related page. And this again is related to a governor. So the governor sends back West Bengal bill seeking death for rapists. So there was this very sordid incident regarding rape and death of a student at a hospital in West Bengal, which was majorly hitting the news a few months back. So the West Bengal governor C.V. Ananda Bose has returned the Aparajita bill, right? So this name of the bill was the Aparajita bill. Aparajita. Just like the name Nirbhaya was given to the victim of the Delhi rape case, similarly the name given to the Jane doe is Aparajita. So the West Bengal Governor C.V. Ananda Bose has returned the Aparajita bill to the Assembly for reconsideration, citing serious objections raised by the centre regarding proposed changes to the BNS, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. And as law aspirants and others would recall, the Indian Penal Code, the IPC, was replaced with the BNS, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So there has been a proposal to make some changes seeking death for rapists, and the West Bengal governor has sent it back. The centre found that the Aparajita Women and Child West Bengal Criminal Laws Amendment Bill passed in September 24 contains changes in penal provisions for rape under multiple BNS sections, proposing excessively harsh and disproportionate punishments, sources said. A major point of contention is an amendment to the BNS Section 64. The state bill increases the punishment for rape from current minimum of 10 years to either imprisonment for the remainder of the convict's natural life or capital punishment. The Ministry of Home Affairs reportedly deemed this as unduly harsh and inconsistent with principles of proportionality. So let us see how this is taken forward. I seem to have lost a page. Okay. So, okay. The next nation page, student suicides reflect a systemic failure, says the Apex Court. And the Supreme Court or the Apex Court has taken notice of student suicides and made a statement regarding that. You can just read that article out of interest. The next nation page has a statement from the Indian Air Force Vice Chief, who says just 50 air-launched vehicles pulverized Pakistan. Okay, Less than 50 air-launched weapons fired by India at air bases and radar sites in Pakistan during Operation Sindoor compelled the Western adversary to come to the negotiating table and sue for peace. IAF Vice Chief Air Marshal Narmadeshwar Tiwari said on Friday. Okay, so a couple of very interesting words of vocabulary which you can see from here. One is the word pulverized. So to pulverize something is to crush something intensively, almost to reduce it to powderized form. An adversary is an enemy. So this is a statement made by the Indian Air Force's Vice Chief. Then in another news, it says a Supreme Court case, don't lower the age, just stop jailing adolescent love. With the Supreme Court weighing in, a growing chorus of experts is calling for decriminalizing consensual relationships, even if the age of consent is not lowered. Below that is an infographic which shows the age of consent in a lot of different countries, ranging from less than 15 years to up to 18 plus years. Okay. In other news, we have 99.8% Bihar voters turn in forms before Election Commission deadline, and the opposition paralyzes the House again over the Bihar voter rolls. With the ongoing monsoon session, let's see if any worthwhile work gets done. Okay. The next nation page is a headline, erred by not doing caste census during UPA term. Interesting. Rahul Gandhi on Friday said it was his mistake that the erstwhile UPA government didn't conduct caste census, adding the blame lies with him and not Congress. He said he's correcting the mistake, pointing to the exercise done by the Congress-governed Telangana. Very, very, very interesting statement by the leader of the opposition there. Then we move ahead to my favorite, the center page with interesting articles to be read. The top article is by the professor of government and politics, Dan Casino, who is a teacher at the Fairleigh Dickinson University in the US. It says America pivots again on immigrants. Trump's immigration raids are changing public opinion. Recent polls show support has come down to 20%, and 25% US adults now worry that they or someone close to them could be deported. So with US President Donald Trump having a very strong anti-immigrant stand, this article would definitely be worth reading. Below that, a column by Bikram Vohra with reference to, of course, the astronomer CEO and HR heads dalliance being caught on the kiss cam at a Coldplay concert. The article reads, privacy is dead, just don't get Coldplayed. So many words often find their way into common language, and even proper nouns get converted into verbs. For example, with the rise of Google as the world's top search engine, to search for something has now turned into a verb to Google for something. Just like that, with the infamous incident of the Coldplay concert, to get cold played is probably the new verb for an act of getting caught in an extramarital affair. Okay, so the line below reads, any of us can be on candid camera anytime. We have even accepted this, as we have accepted that others' actions once on the internet are our business. So this should be a very interesting read, probably with the lowered expectations of privacy in public, and of course the titillation that people get by seeing such things on the social media and on the internet. The left three articles, the top one is Volte-Face. Grim results of EV makers raise a question about viability related to electric vehicles, the rise of them. Second, where do you go? Vacationers need new places to holiday in, general article. And below that, toxins thicken the air, killers walk the street. Was US's serial killer wave a result of industrial pollution? The left bottom article about whether US's serial killer wave is a result of industrial pollution is a very, very controversial statement, and definitely one should be reading that article to see what the writer of that piece has to say. As we move ahead to the next page, which is the global page, the big headline is France will recognize Palestine state. Macron, first in G7 to do so. Okay, so France will recognize Palestine state, says Macron, the French president, and this would be the first in G7 to do so. Spain, Ireland, and Norway did so last year. Germany, UK to not follow suit. President Emmanuel Macron announced late Thursday that France would recognize the state of Palestine as part of its historical commitment to a just and durable peace in the Middle East. In a surprise statement on social platform X, formerly Twitter, that followed months of hints and hesitations, he said that he would make a formal announcement to the effect at the United Nations General Assembly in September in New York. But of course, then you have had the statement by US President Donald Trump, who says what Macron says doesn't matter. Okay, and inset in the same article, Netanyahu and Trump appear to abandon Gaza ceasefire talks with Hamas. Okay, now an update on the ongoing clash between Thailand and Cambodia. Thailand warns of war with Cambodia. Clashes enter day 2. Okay, Trump says there is a 50-50 chance of trade deal with the European Union. Okay, and a lot of other interesting news. We move on to the business page where, of course, continuing from the headline on the main page, we have details on the RBI governor ruling out banking licenses for corporates, citing a conflict of interest. Of course, I quote, he says, can't obtain nor through NBFCs either. Okay. Then another statement by RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra where to summarize it, it said UPI needs sustainable financial model for long-term viability. Okay. Now, the next continuation of a business page. Not much. We move on to the sports page, where of course we have a lot of news on cricket because of the ongoing cricket test match between India and England. Root leads the plunder. Talisman scores 38th ton, becomes second highest test run getter as England batters cash in on India's listless attack. Uninspired captaincy to stretch lead to 186. So not a great news for Indian cricket fans there. Okay, and a lot of other things. At the bottom, we have update on the bid by India to host the next Olympics in the future. India bids for major international events to boost Olympic hosting hopes. So India has lined up a series of bids to bring global sporting events across various disciplines to the country, potentially serving as a precursor to its ambition of hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2036. Okay, so which are the events that India wants to host in the run-up? These include the Commonwealth Games 2030, which we have hosted in the past, the Youth Summer Olympics of 2030, the World U Under 20 Athletics Championship 28, Asian Cup Football in 31, and Asian Games in 34. Okay, so people interested in sports, especially the Olympics, will definitely be watching this news with great interest. And then we come to the last page with sports, where the women's chess World Cup final is ongoing, and the Queen's Gambit is, can teenager Divya's enthusiasm get the better of Hampi's vast experience? So Koneru Hampi and Divya Deshmukh, two Indian women, have made it to the finals. So the gold and silver are guaranteed for India in the women's chess World Cup final. The only thing which remains to be seen is which of the two ladies wins the gold and who wins the silver, right? And this is definitely going to be watched with great interest by chess aficionados. Below in the nation half of the page, cops bust international drug cartel run on delivery app model. Wow. Delivery apps are very common in India. You can get food, you can get groceries, you can get a lot of items of daily use, including appliances, you can get medicines. And as any technology has to face, illegal activities always jump onto the bandwagon, just as pornography became one of the biggest things when the internet was on rise. So now apparently international drug cartels are now switching to a delivery app model. Blowing the lid off a major drug ring active in Delhi NCR's party circuits, Delhi Police Crime Branch seized cocaine, MDMA and OG ganja worth over 100 crore rupees and arrested 5 foreign nationals. Okay, and this syndicate had a highly organized structure and utilized encrypted WhatsApp channels and other things for last mile drug deliveries. Extremely interesting, but very alarming piece of news there. So that brings us pretty much to an end. But before I close this, in fact, what I thought was an advertisement, general advertisement on the first page, has just caught my attention. And surprisingly, this is actually a great infographic for students. So the main page, Heart and Craft of India, Swadesh, a living archive of over 500 Indian crafts, preserving, curating, and celebrating the handmade legacy of our nation, has a map of India superimposed with a lot of different artworks according to region, ranging from walnut wood carvings of the 15th century in Kashmir to the Pichwai of 17th century, which are rooted in Nathdwara temple walls and sacred paintings in Rajasthan, to Bandhani of 6th century, which is a ancient resist dyeing practice in Gujarat, to sandalwood carvings in Karnataka, to the lamps called Vilakku in Kerala, to Tanjore paintings from Tamil Nadu, wood carvings from Andhra Pradesh, stone carvings from Odisha, Jamdani from West Bengal, Longpi pottery from Manipur, and bamboo craft from Assam, to name a few. So this definitely is going to be a very, very interesting infographic, and I could definitely come up with a lot of interesting static GK questions asking this particular art form or this particular handicraft is from which particular region. So sometimes things which are in the form which look like advertisements may actually contain relevant information for GK aspirants. Now this brings the session to an end. I hope you have enjoyed this session. If you have done so, please do hit the like button, share it with your friends, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. If you wish to send me any message, feel free to leave a comment below. With that, this is me, Sathya Narayan, calling it a day. Wish you all the very best.